A Windrush generation boxer, a Polish migrant marked with a tattoo, and a man with a bottle of gin and a television in his shopping trolley. These are just some of the true stories and dramatised speculations about the lives and deaths of homeless people explored in a new production, Bystanders, by Cardboard Citizens.
Some of them kind of defy belief how the general public deal with people who are homeless, whether it be on the street or whether it's migrant workers, and some of it's pretty visceral. Some of it is kind of so tragic it's hilarious. I mean, there are still parts of it that I find very funny in a kind of a black humour. And I suppose in 1 hour, what we do, our aim, is merely to highlight that this is going on in 2019. It's actually happening on our streets, you know. You could argue that homelessness in the great scheme of things is pretty insignificant. Actually, I think it's not insignificant. I think, having been homeless myself and dealt with the realities of what that's like, I think it's a very important show.
When you were in Salisbury, did you have any Novichok or any other poisonous agent with you?
No!
The Novichok is the fact that their victims or the consequences of their actions we involved 2 homeless people. The Windrush, I suppose, you know, there are many people from all areas and walks of life and situations that homelessness comes to. It just happens to be this guy was a Windrush guy, and he really suffered. I mean, he spent, I think it was 13 years in Jamaica living in a shack.
After last year's revelations by the Bureau for Investigative Journalism on the largely unreported and unrecorded scale of homeless deaths in the UK, with the reality of 800 homeless men and women having died between October 2017 and March 2019, all of the cast have different personal experiences of homelessness, something which has informed their perceptions of people sleeping on the streets.
Are they any different? I suppose what the show's really asking, are these people different to us? I would argue, having experienced it and gone through it and got back on my feet, there by the grace of God go I. You know, anybody can end up homeless very easily, and it's something that is relevant to us all. One of the things that I found when I was homeless, you know, I had had a career, a very successful career. I'd been at the Royal Shakespeare Company. How does that happen? That you end up 2 years later, because of mental health issues, being on a street. You know, I was. I still had my intelligence, I still had my self-respect and my dignity, but I didn't. It was actually gone, but it was still, it still mattered. And to feel that you were a real outsider is a very painful place to be.
I went back in to get my coat because it was very cold, and then I went back out to examine him. Since he was unresponsive, the London ambulance service was called and he was taken to hospital.
And what Cardboard Citizens do is that they, amongst other things, they deal with issues around homelessness in a dramatic way. And I think it's engaging and compelling and important. Where I can contribute is artistically. I'm not a counsellor. I don't want to be a counsellor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not an activist. But I'm an actor and a writer. And I can contribute in that way. I don't want to change the world, but I can make a contribution.
And that contribution is underlined by the fact that Cardboard Citizens is a practitioner of theatre of the oppressed, a collection of techniques created originally by Augusto Boal, in which theatre is used as an instrument for social and political change, something which this particular play demonstrates. Ian McNally, That's TV.